Hey guys, welcome back to the AT-AT Chat. Today I want to talk about something that has been on my mind for a little while concerning the entire Star Wars saga's themes and evolution of its own mythology over time. And this is also sort of like a part 2 to my speculation about episode 9 at the end, and I just want to let you know I'm not a scholar in all things mythology, so bear with me. For a lot of you, this might be extremely redundant, and for others, maybe this will be fun for you to listen to. So here we go. When we were first introduced to the Star Wars universe, the film was more or less a one and done because of the assumption that the film might not be a success. And after being outrageously wrong, Star Wars got an official sequel going into production with enough money to back Lucas's full vision for his film, as well as to finally introduce heavier and darker themes to his universe. When The Empire Strikes Back came out, Luke is no longer this simple farm boy. He's now a leader in the rebellion, as well as an up-and-coming Jedi. He wants to follow in his father's footsteps, but as we find out, his father had a far darker fate than he imagined. We are introduced to the familial ties between Luke and Vader being Anakin Skywalker. In Return of the Jedi, the main plot of the film is not only to win the rebellion against the Empire, but for Luke to confront and redeem his father, the evil Lord Vader, bring him back to the light, while also not giving into his own inner darkness being stoked by the Emperor. And we also learn of another familial bond, which is Luke and Leia being twins. So now when you look at the entire original trilogy as a whole, it's much grander than Luke Skywalker taking out the Death Star and using his lightsaber or the Force. It's a journey of discovering who his family is, as well as pushing his father back towards the light. Love essentially saves his father, right? So after the conclusion of the original trilogy, George Lucas took it upon himself to give us the story of Anakin Skywalker and his destined turn to the dark side. This new trilogy would further expand the themes and mythology of the Star Wars saga. Even though the prequel trilogy is a clunky experience and still a high point of contention for a lot of fans, it expanded the lore by giving us the prophecy of the Chosen One. And I actually really like the prophecy of the Chosen One. This one addition to the lore really helped deepen the mythos of the Force and the Jedi and the Sith. The Chosen One is supposed to bring balance to the Force and destroy the Sith, and obviously in a very obtuse way, that is the result of Anakin Skywalker's redemption on the Death Star 2. After throwing the Emperor down a shaft to save Luke, he is realigned with the light side. No longer a Sith, and the Emperor is dead, or at least that's what we think. He effectively brought balance by eliminating the dark side users. But as we come to find out in the sequel trilogy, balance does not mean the absence of darkness at all. Regardless of the prequel's technical or narrative faults, the story Lucas gave us is an epic journey about destiny, as well as presenting another theme on how love can destroy someone rather than redeem. So if the original trilogy is about unconditional love, selfless love, then the prequel trilogy is about how possessive love and coveting love can lead one down a dark path into the dark side. Everything that happened to Anakin Skywalker happened due to his possessive and selfish love for his hidden wife, Padme. So we have a trilogy about a father and son as the primary mover with love saving the day, and then we have a trilogy about a husband and wife as the primary mover with possessive love causing the ultimate fall. And now in the sequel trilogy, while there are familiar themes here and there that echo those of the first two trilogies, I find that the underlying theme here in the sequels, they are fundamentally different than the previous two. The sequel trilogy is about the lack of love. It's about abandonment and trying to feed a need that can never be filled. And the journey our characters must take is more of an internal journey rather than an external journey. It's self-reflective. And The Last Jedi's Mirror Cave is such an on-the-nose expression of this entire theme. You are your savior, your own savior, right? So Rey seeks validation pretty much in her very existence. She's looking for father figures, as they say in Han or Luke, but only Rey can be the person who gives herself true meaning and purpose within the saga at large and within this story. Like Kylo says, you have no place in this story. Well, I don't think that's the case. She also needs to find out that she does mean something to the universe at large, and I think she will find out what this purpose is. Now, of course, the Force is using her as a vessel, and we will come to learn more about what this is in episode 9, but, like I say, Rey's journey is about self-acceptance of who and what she is, not necessarily tied to the Jedi's prophecy of the Chosen One, and after all, we heard from Yoda that it could have been misread, and I have something to say about the prophecy at the end, like I mentioned. On top of this, Kylo Ren also needs validation and approval as well. He gets this from his manipulative surrogate father because his own family thought it was best to ship off Ben to, Jedi boarding school, where Uncle Luke ended up becoming so concerned with Ben's inner growing darkness that he almost killed him. And that's pretty dark. Plus, the Force user, Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, has been being manipulated since he was in the womb by Snoke in some way, or at least that's the general idea. So for me, it seems obvious why The Last Jedi brought these two together in the throne room scene, like a setup, right? It wasn't just this cool scene, it was a cool scene, but it was to show that these two will be the counterbalance that each other needs. Or at least that's how I'm actually taking the whole dynamic between the two of them at this point. So knowing all of this, I find that the idea of self-love and growing beyond the setbacks of your past and your own limiting beliefs is a great addition to the saga in regards to its overall themes, and I like that it's a struggle that our heroes in the sequel trilogy have to go through. As you know, I'm extremely happy with these movies and how Kylo and Rey are navigating their circumstances in the story at large, and say what you will about The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi being too close to the originals, but I would say that's only in the cosmetics. When you peer into what's really happening on screen between the characters, there's way more under the surface that's going on and a lot to relate to, I'd say. So I keep talking about some theory about episode 9, and I had a video about this. It has to do with the Chosen One prophecy and sort of how this might all end up relating back into the trilogy at large. So I do think the Chosen One prophecy will be mentioned, or at least expanded upon, in the final chapter of the Skywalker saga. Ben being the final Skywalker of the bloodline. Since we know Star Wars tends to elevate its stories by adding more to its own mythos with each trilogy, my speculation is that the Chosen One prophecy is taken too literally, and that Kylo Ren and Rey are the two Force users that will create a unity, a balance, and the oneness in the galaxy. So I guess you could say that I'm calling them the Chosen Two at this point, and they are the yin and yang that will finally come together to complete the entire circle here of the trilogy, to put everything back into balance. But before either of them have this resolution, they will both have to fully accept what they are and not let the past die, like Kylo Ren said in The Last Jedi, but they need to overcome it. Now that I've turned this quick little video into a pseudo-philosophy talk, I hope that you found this interesting. If you aren't already subscribed, please do for more Star Wars content. I have a blast talking about these films, and honestly, I just can't wait to see how all of this ends. So, AT-AT signing off.